welcome to the second of our three-part interview with Sam Strike from Boys in the Boat, picking up from where we left off in part one.
Are you still rowing now? Have you rowed since?
I would love to. I've really enjoyed rowing, and I'm not being sarcastic. I really loved it. I was horrible in the tank, but when I got on the water, it kind of felt like it made more sense. I would totally, if the opportunity presented itself, I totally would, be it in an 8 or even in like a single scull.
You were good in the scull as well.
Do you know what? I was so scared when I got in the scull. I was so terrified that my adrenaline was just row as fast as you can. Like, turn it into excitement rather than being really scared. So I was just like closing my eyes and pulling as hard as I could. And then you start enjoying it because those things fly.
I guess when you hit that sweet spot with it, you can really feel it, can't you?
Yeah.
Just through sort of cutting through the water.
The boat is like narrower than the width of your two legs, you know. It's so slim. So you just cut through it. It's amazing.
You got cast, Sam, and you got that 6-week prep phase. Was there any idea of just what that training phase was going to involve and how hard that would be? What was it quite like? Oh, there's a training phase, and sort of left at that. Was it very vague?
I seem to remember it kind of being, when they sort of said, maybe take it easy at the gym, it was kind of like, everything's going to be sort of taken care of when we start training. Like, I imagined it would be difficult, but there wasn't much like conversation about what the training was going to entail, really, from what I remember.
Yeah. And like during the process, was there sort of times where you felt like this, like, nah, I'm done? Or was it always, high spirits, buzzing, excited to be in?
You look how he's smiling. It's because he knows often I'd lose my temper with myself. It was one of those things where I was way more scared about the acting than I was about the physical stuff. The physical stuff, I was like, I'm going to work as hard as I can, and that whatever the outcome is, it will be the best I could have possibly done. It kind of took the pressure off of that a little bit, just how much pressure I was putting on myself for the actual acting stuff in the film. Yeah, I mean, there are days when you're frustrated because it can be so frustrating. Because there are things that happen that are in your control. You're frustrated at yourself, or things that happen that aren't in your control, and you're frustrated at somebody else, and then you realise, oh no, that was actually your fault, and then you're frustrated at yourself again.
Can I just ask about the acting, like being kind of apprehensive and nervous about the acting? What was it that you were apprehensive about with that, or nervous about?
I'm always nervous about acting.
Really?
Always, like, everything I do, every job I ever do, like even this like thing I just did, it was like this really nice indie movie with like a small crew and really nice people, and it's a really weird thing. I think acting, you've got to like get on camera and pretend, and it's just strange. It's a strange thing. But I found that the more confident I was going to set, the worse the result was on camera, just throughout my career. This is just me. The more nervous I tended to be when I got on camera, I'd watch it back and be like, oh, that was better than I thought.
Really?
I've seen it with actors on set, and if I've ever helped actors with a self-tape, an actor will sometimes call cut themselves. They'll be like, oh, stop, can we do that again? And that's normally always the take where they were really good.
Ah, really? Okay.
In my opinion, it's like they're thinking it's all going wrong, but it's coming across this certain way on camera. And then they'll go, oh, sorry, can I do that again? And you see the director go, oh, that was so good.
You're gonna be like, carry on, just get to the end of it and see what. How do you learn your lines? How are you at line learning?
Well, on account of being really nervous, I learn my lines like back to front, because I'm not somebody that commonly like drops lines on set. Like, it's not something that happens to me very often. But regardless, I'm terrified I'm going to forget my lines. Like, it would keep me up at night. So I learn them really, 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 really well, to the point where I could be on camera and panicking and my brain just says them.
But that's the best place to be, I imagine, right? Then you have the freedom to act.
Yeah, there's definitely.
It's not taking up that bandwidth, is it? It's like that's all grooved in. You just know it. You can spread your attention elsewhere.
There's definitely an argument for it. I know some actors that like they don't really know their lines, and that frees them up too. But for me, it's like I need to know them really well, mainly because if I start feeling like panicky in the middle of a take, I just know that it's going to come out on autopilot, you know. Like, I've had it before. It was really weird at the start of the year. Randomly had like this anxiety attack, and I was sitting in a restaurant and I couldn't read the menu. I didn't understand what it said. It was the most strange thing. My brain wasn't processing anything. And I figured out, if I learn, and I've always done this, if I learn my lines really well, somehow, no matter what I'm feeling like, it just comes out. You know, so I just learn them. My wife will run them with me, like, which is super, super, super helpful. And I'll make sure I know them like a month in advance. Because
and do you just run them? Do you have to just run them with, like, your wife, just run them, just... Do you listen to them as well? Do you record them and listen to them?
I don't listen to them. I'll run them when I get them, and then, like, in the days leading up to shooting, whatever the scene is, I'll make sure I run them a lot and know them. I think it's like a lot of pressure being on a set, you know, like, especially something like Boys in the Boat. There's a big crew, and you're working with George Clooney and stuff, and you're like, if I'm the one that fucks up today, that would be catastrophic. Like, how I feel about myself, you know. So you just, like, go in as prepared as you can.
Yeah. It sounds like you've found a way to harness that, haven't you? Like, that pressure, and sort of be comfortable in that space, because that's where you seem to be performing best.
Yeah, it's weird. Like,
it works for you.
Yeah. Many years ago, I was on EastEnders for like a year, and I'd learn
that. We spoke about that.
Well, you're shooting so many scenes a day, and I would learn boatloads of dialogue like an hour before a scene.
I remember that. It's literally like next, isn't it? It's like you churn it out.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it now. You've got to learn lines, you know, really good. And there's rewrites that will come in like 2 hours before you shoot a scene and stuff. But I think it's definitely, it's an amazing thing watching the actors on that show, especially the ones that are given a lot to do. It's like the amount of stuff you have to learn, and not just learn, but like decide how you're going to do it, is unlike anything I've seen. Even on like sort of little indie movies, you're not shooting anywhere near as many scenes a day as you would in a soap, you know.
That's amazing as a prep then, like, and as a grounding, isn't it, really, to get exposed to that.
Yeah.
Like, when you're young, to like, this is what it can be, and it's full on.
Yeah. But when I was younger, I wasn't cocky, but I was more confident. It's like, oh yeah, I can do this. I give myself a much harder time now than I did before.
Yeah, it's getting older though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Was it the more you know, the more you know, the more you realise you don't know?
Yeah, definitely. I thought I was so good when I was younger.
Know it all.
Yeah.
Bring it.
And the longer I do it, the more I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Then you get like the imposter syndrome and like all of that, and that, you know, performance anxiety, and that all kind of comes to play. And you're like, oh no, I prefer when you weren't around. Like, let's just.
Yeah, it's weird because you suffer with it, but hopefully the work is better as a result of it.
Yeah. Suffer for your art.
Yeah, just giving yourself a hard time. There are days, and you hear actors talk about it all the time, where you get in the car at the end of a filming day and you're like, oh, I can't believe like that's how it went today. And someone might have thought that was a really good day for you, you know, like they might have thought it was great, but you're in the car going, and you feel terrible about it until the next day. Like, oh, I should have done it this way. I could have done this differently, you know.
Also, you probably have no idea really what it's going to look like until the trailers come out and then you see the film, right?
Yeah, well, I'm an actor that likes to watch playback on set. I know a lot of actors are like,
okay. Some people don't, yeah.
But for me, it's like I can watch it, and I obviously trust my director, but I can kind of direct myself also. As I watch the playback, I'm like, oh, that doesn't quite work, or oh, I like that, I'll do more of that. But Boys in the Boat, obviously I didn't get to see any playback. And then I didn't see like anything until the trailer. Actually, I saw I got to see the movie in October, and I only saw like a little trailer like a week before that, so it all kind of came at once.
How did you feel watching it?
I loved it. I loved it. I think it's awesome, and it was so. What was so unique about this is, like you say, we trained for a really long period of time, and it is so cliche, but I was watching it and it just felt like me and my friends had like made a movie, and I was like, oh, there he is, like there's his face, you know. But sincerely, I really felt that way, you know, like.
That's really nice.
Joel Fillimore said that as well. Like, I spoke to him today, and that's exactly what he said. It was like watching a video of me and my mates rowing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Right. Have you seen it yet?
No.
I think it's great. It's a really emotional and heartfelt, and
the trailers are stirring. Like, the stuff that gets like MGM are putting out, and everyone sort of reposting that. Like when you watch it, like I get goosebumps. When you're involved in a project that you really love, like it wouldn't matter what they put out, I'd probably feel quite emotional about it. But like it's genuinely like beautiful.
Yeah.
The dialogue that's in it, from Peter or Joel, it's just like they're perfect. It's like they've done such a good job of it. I'm so excited to see it.
When Peter's like sweating pain, it's like so good. It's so
days with Peter on set. It was amazing, weren't they?
He's a diamond, Peter. When I'm shooting stuff, I'm thinking like, oh, what's the trailer going to be like? Or that line will be in the trailer. I know that's going to be for any actor that I'm working with. And I had an idea of how the trailer might be for this. And then I saw it, and it's like maybe the only time in my career that I've been right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where I was like, this is exactly how I imagined it would be. It feels exactly how I imagined it would feel, which was super satisfying.
Is there going to be like a little bloopers at the end of you and your little waterproof thing splashed with water?
I've got a lot of pictures.
That would be great.
They're out there. I'm sure they'll be
somewhere. They'll come out.
Yeah.
There's pictures at the back of the boat. I think there was one where someone zoomed in. It was just a really funny picture. It was like, like you were proper like hood on, could barely see him, and he'd sunk right down. And it's like all these big lads in front of this little sort of figure.
I looked like I had chainmail on. That's
amazing.
I've kind of been blessed with a really short torso, so I don't consider myself short. I'm 5'11", 6, but the other boys are really tall. And then on top of that, I got a short torso. So in the boat, it's like the boys, and then it's like me.
In that photo specifically, we're not giving you stick about it, but you are sort of
front,
aren't you? You've just been soaked and you're freezing cold.
My body language was like it was reflecting how I felt. I just collapsed.
I'm done.
Yeah, but I look back on it very fondly. Yeah. It was such a cool thing, and it's like no matter what any of us do after this, like it will never be that again. Just the alchemy of all of that was so specific, it was awesome.
Yeah, there were ups and downs, and it was hard work and stuff, but I think quite regularly, especially when filming started and those days on set were coming and you were like in the boat, I don't know how you felt about it, but just seeing it just sort of felt each part of them, like you see you lot grow. And it's quite interesting because it kind of, from what I gather, like, with the progression of the boat through the film, that's you turning up and delivering what you can deliver on each race, isn't it? It's kind of really like your journey actually in the boat. It's not like it was all chopped up and like we finished on the big one, didn't we?
When the boys first try out for the rowing team, we shot that first. So we weren't great, and then we weren't supposed to be great. And then the Olympics we shot at the end, by which point they're meant to be amazing, and we were pretty good, I think. So yeah, they synced that up quite nicely.
Really well. Like you met those goals because there was like stroke rate goals, so like and they were high.
Is that what they actually were in real life? What they were recorded at the Olympics and all the races? So they had all that info, did they? And were you replicating?
Oh yeah. Stroke rate. Yeah. Well, I remember there was a day. It was in the last week of filming. And we did a take, and we were told it wasn't very good. And then I don't know whether it was like, I think all of us were just like, we've been doing this for so long, we'll show you. And we just ripped it on the next take. And Luke went 46, which is the stroke rate that the boys won the Olympics with. And ours probably was a little messier than theirs, but we got up there.
Yeah, that's some going.
Yeah, you're just flying down the slide doing 46.